I was scrolling Facebook the other day and came across a post, a really interesting question from somebody on one of the Wing Facebook group. What is the width parameters really doing? If you want to talk about width, you need to talk about stereo sources. And stereo sources are something kind of new for the live world. They used to be really present in studio before, but on live console, having a single channel strip being a stereo, not two linked together, is a new thing. So if this is something that may interest you, stick around.
Today's video is brought to you by the cute little Balance 3-in-1 Magsafe charger stand. Seamlessly charge all your device with this magnetic Magsafe charger stand. Snap your iPhone to the Magsafe charger stand and put your Apple Watch on the magnetic charger next to it. The bottom plate will also charge your AirPod, and you can do it all at the same time. This package includes a 30-watt USB-A charger, giving you plenty of power to do so. Turning your iPhone on its side will perfectly display the new feature of iOS 17, displaying your clock and your calendar for the upcoming days. You can easily remove your phone from the stand with a single hand without needing to hold the base. The bottom of this charging station is made of stainless steel, giving it a really high-end feel and really nice texture. Available in black and white, this is a great gift for your friend, your family, or even yourself. It will fit well on your work desk, your nightstand, or anywhere that you see fit.
If you guys want to get yourself a Balance, make sure to check out the link in the video description. Now, back to the show. So hi everybody, my name is Guillaume. If you don't know me, I'm a live sound engineer that talk about the Wing, that talk about basically anything that has to do with live sound or stuff that I could put my hands on that I believe would be interesting for you to watch. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you don't miss any video that I'm releasing. Now, let's move on to the subject of today's video, the width parameter. A lot of people apparently are not used to have a width parameter on live console, or if you come from an X32 background or even analog console background, never before we have seen console that has a single channel, just one fader being stereo, a stereo source. On the Wing, the source could be mono, stereo, or mid-side. I'm going to leave the mid-side for another video. I know I've spoken about it a couple times before, but this is not something really common to use live, so I'd rather put this aside for now. But today we're going to talk about especially stereo stuff, and something that has a lot of importance when it comes to stereo source is the width control on your stereo channel. As you can see right here, this is the basic default of any width parameter on the console. If I click around on some other fader, you see I've played around with a couple of them, but mostly this is what you're going to see. I'm using main out 1 now just for an experiment, because I want to show you guys the reaction of what we're going to do today through the LF vector scope. This is basically going to give you your energy, the amount of energy that we're getting front, left, and right. So if you know a little bit about MS Source, you kind of understand why this is there. But this is also a really fun feature to have when it comes to stereo imaging. This is basically telling you your how wide or how your stereo image is being sent through your main out. So I'm using a mono source. I'm using this microphone on top of the camera. This is almost a flat line, just a single line in the middle. There is absolutely no stereo information happening here. And let's, for fun, play around with pink noise and see how, if I give you stereo pink noise, we see this image of a line here changing. And don't worry, I'm going to come back to the width parameter just after that. We want to start here. I have two channels, one that is pink noise left, one that is pink noise right. So that way we can have two different stereo source. Make sure that you're watching this video in stereo, because otherwise you won't hear the full effect that we're doing here. Let's find out if you are really in stereo. I'm going to raise the left pink noise and the right pink noise. if you heard one signal on one side or the other, it doesn't really matter if your stereo is backward for this thing, but you're going to be able to hear what we're going to figure out today, or how the width feature is going to affect that stereo field left and right. So let me go back to my main out one. I have in my hand right now the two left and right pink noise, and I'm going to try to put them really low in the back so it won't be too annoying. But if you listen to it carefully, you can kind of feel this is not a mono pink noise. Let me give you an example of a mono pink noise. I'm going to use the pan here. This is really flat. Now I'm going to raise up the right. Ooh, we got some really funky stuff happening here, and I'm going to pan it here. So that way we have a stereo pink noise to work with. Let's take a listen at what's happening, and also we're going to use the LF vector scope as a visual representation of the stereo spectrum field happening here. So I'm going to slowly raise up the pink noise. We have some stuff happening on the side. This is not a mono source. It's not something that is dead center like my voice is right now. We see some artifact. We see some stuff happening left to right. So let's take a look again at the same pink noise, but this time I'm going to close the width on that, and I'm going to switch to a matrix because the LF vector scope is tapped before the width parameter on the console with firmware 2.0. If that ever change, I'm going to put a comment down below, but for now I'm just going to close the width and switch to a matrix so you guys can see what's happening. Can you hear the difference, and can you actually see what's happening when I close the width? The LF vector scope, instead of showing almost a circle or something that's really close to a circle, become a line. That means that we have a lot of information happening in the center of the spectrum stereo field, and we have no more information happening on the side of the spectrum stereo field. Meaning that we can play around with the width. We can create a difference in left and right, or we can play around with the amount of stereo that we get from different stereo sources. Please note that this is only going to work on a stereo source. This is not going to work for mono stuff, because mono stuff is exactly like I'm doing right now. This is just a line in the center of the stereo spectrum, so you cannot play around with that. Actually, if I show you, if I take the width of my channel right now, and if I just put it here, if I put it backward, because we're also going to touch on that in a few seconds, and even if I spread it wider, 150%, nothing's changed. It's always just a line in the center of the stereo field, of the stereo spectrum that we can hear. If I take my stereo source, for now it's a pink noise, but it could be anything else. It could be drums overhead, it could be a keyboard, and sometimes mistakes happen and you end up with having something that is a stereo source that is panned backward. You end up hearing in your overhead that your hi-hat is coming out of P left and your right of P right. The quickest way to do this on a stereo source is just to take the width and just invert it. By doing this, you took your stereo field, your stereo source, and you change 100% of the stereo width, meaning that you inverted left and right on the stereo spectrum. So it's basically like if you took your input and swapped them around. This is not a replacement for a bad patch, it's just maybe a quick fix, or if somebody for some reason gave you something that says, you know, information on the left or on the right, it's not panned the way that it would be to you, and it's not panned the way that makes sense to you. You can just use the width and crank that out. Okay, Now that we talk about that, this is a great way to invert a signal, but there is also one thing that we can do with the width parameter, and is to change the amount of stereo information versus the amount of middle information. The way to do this will be to go over 100% with your width. Let me show you guys. If I take that peak noise that I'm doing here, and I go back to my matrix one, like you guys seen before, we're gonna have a circle. But let me show you what happened to that circle if I change it from 100% to 150%. The pink noise is almost flat now. There is no more, or almost no more, middle information. Because the width of the channel now at 150, it's canceling out the information that are in the middle. So this is something that you need to be careful. If your width on a stereo channel is over 100%, you can create some cancellation in the mid-range and some vocal. If you have a stereo source with, you know, a vocal in the center, which is going to go out of left and right, you can cancel out some vocal that. This is not a vocal remover, by the way. Don't try to, you know, do karaoke with that stuff. It's not going to work, but it's something that you need to be aware of. If you have a source with phasing issue, maybe at that point, if nothing you're trying is fixing it, maybe try to play around with the width, maybe bring it back in the center will make it more enjoyable, or going 150% will make it more enjoyable. At that point, this is why you are behind the console and you do your best for basically the source that you have. So that's going to be it for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching this video about width. Let me tell you again, width is not pan. Width is just the amount of stereophonic effect that we can have on a stereo source. Pan is just taking that effect and change it from left to right. If you like that video, make sure to give this video a like. Until the next one, I want you guys to please take care of yourself, and I'll see you guys later.